nice day today. Feels good.
This winter, the birds ate nearly 60 pounds of suet. I often watch them peck and then convert a phantom steer's insides to flight, to feathered warmth a winter's night could not snuff out. Then I drove to class and showed you how to give shape to energy with a potter's wheel, torquing our planet's flesh lump after lump into cups and bowls by the dozens. We gave them form, color, fire, memory. Can you feel in a teacup's heat that friction of change? The combustion of one thing becoming another?
Come on, chickens. Come on, good girls.
Oh, they're all coming out of hiding. There they are.
I'm from California. I was born in Southern California. When I was 23, I moved to the East Coast. So I've been here as long as I was in California, but my whole family's still there. So my roots are kind of still there. Whenever I go back, I feel like I'm home, even though Bucks County feels like home as well, you know. I have a brother and a sister, and they're both have different careers, but they're also have, my brother has his own business as painting contractor, and they're both musicians. So they both, my brother plays trumpet and flugelhorn in a bunch of different like ska bands and things around LA area and Ventura. My sister plays bass and dulcimer and sings and writes music up in Northern California, so she's up on the Oregon border. My mom lives up there with her. My mom's 86, I believe now. My dad was a wonderful guy. He was instrumental in my introduction to pottery. Like he and I would play with clay and play with anything really. We make art out of anything was kind of the theme at our house. And so, you know, I did some raku firing with him when I was a little girl, and, you know, just always had some of his sculpture around the house. And
I always think of raku as being sort of zen. It's like, it's this beautiful, amazing finish, and it's transient. It doesn't last forever. So, you know, eventually...
Now you see it, now you don't.
Yeah.
It'll just go away.
Eventually it'll just sort of start fading and not be as pretty as it was. So it's one of those zen things of enjoy it while you have it, and it'll last years.
I've always admired the vision that it took to start this place, to make it happen, that you come and you find an old barn and you lease it, and you decide that you're going to have a community of potters that come and make it their home, make friends here. We have creative endeavors that we do, but it's kind of amazing that one person saw the vision, pulled it together, and here we are. So I'm really happy that it exists.
Jennifer and I met about 25 years ago, whenever she was first initiating the idea of using this almost unusable property at Tyler State Park, and the thoughts, she was collecting her thoughts regarding what she could use it as. At the same time, I had begun my own thoughts and my own dream here in New Hope to start an organization of LGBTQ plus individuals, which I started to gather together. Again, both of us kind of coming together because we both had an idea. Lots of people have great ideas, but there are those people that can take that idea and vision and be able to make it happen. That's a very, very small percentage of people.
Jennifer uses art as a tool to build communities. Well, imagine somebody that has a vision and is able to then convey that vision into different people and put them together in order to be able not just to transform a place into art, but also to have people work together in order to be able to build that vision Not too many people can do that. But to be able to construct a vision of art and build an art center with volunteers and people around you and get them so psyched. I mean, when you work with Jennifer, you have this feeling of like you're building something good, and you really want to put in the time and the effort and everybody. So she's able to create this synergy among people, and that is, if there's anything that's community, is that.
What's the exciting part of Raku is about to happen in a couple minutes, one of the exciting parts, and that's where we will take all the pots out of the kiln with tongs while they're 1800 degrees glowing red hot, and you'll be able to see that, and then we will put them from there. Some of them will get air, they'll get crackles, some of them will go into pits, they'll all go into pits eventually, and then when they come, they get smoked in the pits, it creates a reduction atmosphere, and then we take them out and we get to see them. So that's one of the most fun parts of Raku, I think, is that you get to see it that day. So you get that experience of firing it. Usually with a workshop with a firing pottery, it takes 3 or 4 days before you get it back. But with this, it's within an hour. So pretty.
I've been coming here since probably about 2010, not consistently, but I've come back since last year. It's just instant gratification. Because this, we got done last night, we can't open that until Thursday. This is about instant gratification. This is what I'm needing today, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you've been kind of like a confidant, right? Because you haven't always been in classes.
Yeah.
You've kind of come and gone.
Yeah.
But when you're here, it's always like you jump right in and you're like loading kilns and you're doing all the atmospheric firings and you're part of creating concepts and visions for things. And hey, let's make this happen and that happen. Yeah.
It's been a fun.
I've tried to get him on the board, but he doesn't like committees.
I don't like boards, but I'm still thinking about it. I still think it's a possibility.
It's fun. I keep saying that every year that I want to do I have our own float.
Oh, your own float?
And I had this idea that I thought would be really good, and you could be part of this.
I could be part of this.
So you have like we do a ghost scene,
okay.
And so we have on the float on the ghost scene we have 2 women doing the ghost scene together with a wheel. We have wheels running through a generator, and then we have 2 guys doing a ghost scene, and then we have maybe some trans people doing a ghost scene, and some straight people too. We'll let the straight people in too. And then we do this whole, and that's what we're doing, and we're just and then. What do you think?
I think it sounds fun. I love it.
I think we might be too late for this year, but we can start planning for next year.
I know. That would be a good theme. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a good one.
I just grew up kind of watching people be creative, and so I kind of come from this intellectual, like we talked about things at dinner. My mom would make us look up a word in the dictionary and then use it at the dinner table, We were always talking about what's going on in the world and, how humanity matters and how we can kind of give back, ways that we can give back. And nature. Nature was huge in my upbringing. Became an adult and had kids. That was very important in my life as well. Still. So. I thought I wanted to be Jane Goodall. I wanted to write, and I wanted to, study animals and live in the wilderness with animals. But I also kind of knew I always wanted a family. So I knew kind of I would be making a choice once I had a family. So I did have the family before I became another Jane Goodall. And so when my young kids were young, I just did pottery for fun and as my getaway. And I had started in college, but then I continued in private studios, a lot like mine. And I just my teacher was this amazing woman, Judy Devitt, who's now in Vermont, and she's an amazing potter, and she studied at Alfred University. She said, "You're the best teacher I've ever had," when I was teaching for her just to get free studio time, And that, felt good, and I realized that I had a skill that I never even thought about having, and I taught for her for a while, and then when I moved to Massachusetts, I taught there in my own studio, and then, just always realized that teaching was kind of my go-to, and that it was something that came easily to me. I've kind of lived my whole life sort of trying to be tuned in, kind of, to that kind of what my higher purpose is, trying to figure out like how I can give back and what, like listening to sort of what comes my way and being aware of what I'm good at or what people come into my life, what opportunities come into my life. And really, so, I mean, I didn't plan it. I watched it unfold and welcomed it as it unfolded. I never planned any of this.
What's this big one here supposed to be at the top?
This one?
Yeah.
So that was a demonstration that I did for students about 10 years ago. And I was just showing, we have this tool called an extruder. It's like a giant Play-Doh machine, and you can use different dye. So with some of the dye, you can make these square hollow tubes or circular hollow tubes of different circumferences. And then you can put them together and make all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I made this crazy thing, which I didn't really have a purpose for. So I haven't glazed it for like 10 years because I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And it's so weird that it had to be glazed in some way to make it unique. I'm excited the dragon's finally going in, like 15 years later.
Which one did you do with it? The glaze?
I did lusters, and I did a little bit of this silver one that we had secreted behind. That was Rob's. That we may never make it again, but he doesn't know what the recipe was that he used, and he used silver nitrate, which is really, really expensive. So it makes things like, they look like pewter, like melted pewter. It's like pretty cool. Yeah. So I did the copper luster, and I did some Heipenberg luster, and I did a tiny bit of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I copied your technique for drizzling. I like that. That's great.
Okay.
You're getting some heat right here.
Oh, yeah. When that first opened up, I could feel the heat.
Yeah, so stand to the side. Like, try to stand, not directly in front of it.
Yeah.
Standing to the side helps. And then that way also if something explodes, it doesn't explode at you. Yeah.
What are you doing?
And I think I can get everybody in at once. Bye-bye, buddy. Here we go. Let's see what you do. 10 years later. Okay.
Ready?
Yep. That is frickin' hot, man. Okay. He's not going in. Okay, yeah, he did. Okay. Thank you. Okay, here. I'm going to take this out first. You want to put some of that in there? Yeah. Should I close him, you think? He's still a little hot?
Yeah,
He's a little hot still. Throw some
See
more
the
paper?
face? This
Look
looks
at that
great.
color. Oh my God.
Nice.
He's cool.
Oh, I put it in with the bag.
He had a little more color in his face before. See, now but it might just be the smoke that obscured some of the color, but you see where his teeth? They're like sparkling purple. Pretty cool. I don't want him to catch on fire again.
Oh.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They keep changing as they cool.
I don't know where to go. Yeah. Oh,
That's cool.
that's just.
It's weird the way,
That's
because I
weird.
have that
It looks-
glaze.
It looks rough. I used it on other stuff
And it was
didn't
fine.
happen.
I
But I
think-
didn't use it on the inside.
I did thin it out too.
Oh, that looks great.
And maybe I
Oh my
thinned it
God!
out.
Look at the color. Look over here. Look at the color. Look at
Yeah.
too. You see this purples and blues.
Yeah. And when I scrub it, it'll get even brighter.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Wow.
I always, in the middle of throwing a pot, or in the middle of hand building or creating something, this voice comes in remembering that I'm co-creating with the universe. I'm not the only one making that pot. There's all these elements that are coming into it. There's the clay, there's the water, there's the earth, there's what clay is earth, there's fire, and there's also just that sort of place that you go into when I think you do any kind of art. but that I go into when I'm creating pottery, that I tune everything else out. I'm not thinking about problems or concerns or anything. I'm just being with the clay and listening to the direction that makes sense for that piece to go in. I mean, it's not to say that I don't sit down and say I'm going to throw a bowl today, but then as I'm throwing the bowl, something might come to me about a way to decorate it or a way that I want to alter it, or, you know, something that I want to do later to it, like the way I want to glaze it. And I just kind of listen to that and let it be part of the piece. I had this goal that kind of came to me. It wasn't like I said, I have this goal. It was like when I was doing a lot of Native American meditation and with sweat lodges when I was in my 20s and goddess work, and I was always tuned in spiritually. I saw that somehow I was going to be part of this center. And I didn't know quite what that meant, if it was going to be like a spiritual center, if it was going to be something, but I never thought I would be the one who was sort of the founder of it. I didn't think that. I just thought somehow I was going to come upon this community and I was going to be part of it. I saw this in sort of like meditations and stuff. It kept kind of coming back to me. Then when this all started to unfold, it scared me. I mean, it was kind of scary. Like the whole thought of like taking on this huge building and all the grounds and trying to make this financially viable. And I'd never had a financial background. I wasn't a business person, but I had, turns out, a pretty good business sense and a really deep ability to connect to people and see where they fit, you know, to network, find ways that I can highlight their beautiful beings into something that I can give back to them and they can give back to me, and we can create community. And sort of you have this nucleus of that started, and then it's just kept kind of organically growing, you know.
Just in speaking to Jennifer, one gets a sense of enthusiasm and spirit and the kind of drive that I know is like necessary to take something that's nothing and make it into something. And using Jennifer's idea of art is very broad. It's not like I do this, I'm a jewelry maker, I'm a wood maker, like I build cabinets. Jennifer's idea of art is inclusive. You could be like a person who works with bees to make honey for the earth. Anything that you consider to be your contribution to the earth, Jennifer considers to be like a work of art. That's such an unusual outlook. When you meet her, it emanates from her. It's not just something that just not words to her. It's like a spirit within her that whenever you meet her, you connect with. You feel inside her like her real desire. Allow people the opportunity, contribute what they have artistically, like I said, whatever that is, to be shared with all who would like to see.
And I have people with me still that have been there since the beginning, that are still part of the organization in different varying ways, you know.
I met her through this center, actually, when she was doing her, not necessarily, it was the center, like I said, it was under the guild, and she was running a space. She had an advertisement in some, like, magazine, like what I call alternative magazine. And so I answered it because I needed to expound on my self-expression. So I was doing painting at the time, and I wanted to expound on using all of my senses, so to say, and I felt clay would be a good opportunity. And that's when I guess I called and reached out to Jen, and she told me where this place was, so that's where I came. And I've been here since. So these are orchid pots I've been working on. And then this is the newest, so I'm caretaking my mother, and it's not been a very friendly life between my mother and I, but I'm calling these towers of love. Some of us are born into families that have no love, and some of us have love, but then basically something traumatic happens in our lives and we lose that touch.
I thought I was going to call the whole bigger art center, the nonprofit, Earth Center for the Arts. That was the first name of it, because it came out of Earth Center Pottery. It was born out of Earth Center Pottery. All the people came from Earth Center Pottery that helped make it happen, all my original board members. Still to this day, most of the people that are involved sort of filter from the pottery into the larger art center. Because we all get to know each other through the pottery studio usually. Not everyone, but most people. But then I realized it was too close. I needed to have some differentiation between the two entities, so that's why we kind of went with Tyler Park Center for the Arts. And it all happened through me just like only work on my work to perfect it to a point where I felt like I was at a place where I could jury into the Pennsylvania Guild of Craftsmen, and I juried into the Pennsylvania Guild of Craftsmen after one failure. You know, they weren't easy. And one of my very close friends, and Pam Cummings, she was the juror. She was the juror that I had to like convince that my work was the level that it needed to be. And the first time around, there was some little tweaks that they suggested, and I suggest to all artists, like if you're jurying into something and you're trying to become a better artist, not to take those constructive criticisms personally, to realize, you know, this is a craft and you're perfecting your craft. And so I did that. I just like perfected those little tweaks that they suggested and went back and juried again and got the lifetime juried status.
Hi, oh my God, Pam.
Jen, so good to see you. It's been a little while. I do love you, dear.
I love you too. It's so good to have you here at the firing.
Hey,
Right. I mean, like,
treat.
It's a treat. And usually we just see each other at the show, and then at the craft show, we've kept up that whole tradition of the barbecue afterward,
True.
the food afterward, where everybody has a little wine and a little food and hangs out. But it's firing is a whole more intimate thing.
Oh my goodness, it's very much intimate. It's really focused. You know, there's not a lot of everything else going on. It's just this is it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And it's a chance to learn something new. Like at the show, we've sort of done that a lot of times. We kind of we're in our show mode.
Yeah.
And here it's like, and being with Jack Troy is fantastic.
Yeah.
We just keep on growing.
Yeah, growing and learning from somebody who's so knowledgeable and wise and mellow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then even having the kill, I'd say like Lori's like the kill master, if you want to. I don't know, but and Sam, you know, people that know what's going on, but are also learning. It's just fun to be part of that whole process.
I love firing with Sam because Sam's a really great teacher too, and I feel like we have like a good
mix
working group here.
I agree. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, thank you for like being who you are. I appreciate it. I really do. Yeah,
it's not easy.
I mean, you were the person that got me, you know, that I had to get through to get into the guild, and that I then grew. And you've always been so like loving and supportive, like really, you know.
Well,
just
that I think it reflects back on who you are.
Oh.
You know, if you were really uptight or really tense or something, that would be, you know. But I mean, okay, that whole jurying process is way behind us now, and still we have lots of new things to do together, and it's kind of fun.
And we're kind of jurying together now for other people.
That works.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm not, you know, there's a lot of other people that jury and do a good job, but we just happen to be at the same point at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's But yeah, I love it that you have grown so much. I mean, you were already growing during that time, but that's probably been like 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I've just seen this place, and you evolve because you really had the vision for this. Like, we talked about that earlier, that when the Guild was here, I love the Guild, but we were focused on something else, and you have such a strong community commitment here, and so many neat networks that you could draw on to really build this place and make it a really thriving place, where before it was just kind of an office with craft shows twice a year.
Right. Yeah. And living here, the fact that I live here and a lot of the guild members didn't live here, that I live in the community and was able to like bring some of those people from onto the board and into and the pottery classes have just been the hot spot of the whole art center, because most of everybody, if the people from on the board, people who are on the event committee, people who help are the volunteers that help run the show.
Yep.
I mean, it's
such
like a huge
the seed field of where everything starts growing, and then their talents start to shine. He's like, oh, you could be on the events committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You start to see where people might fit and want to be a part of things more. Yeah.
Yeah. Really. But I'm so glad that you are also able to just take this whole week off and focus on this and not have to have all the overthinking of everything else. You couldn't have done that 10 years ago.
No.
So you've evolved this place
Yeah.
and had a good, strong team to help you grow to the point where you can be the director and teach, but not be everybody all the time. You don't have to fill a toilet paper. Somebody
There's
else does
so many capable people here.
Yeah.
And you're such a I feel like you're like this center stone.
Thank you.
Really.
Thanks.
You see that in me, but I see that in you.
Oh, thank you.
Me having your support and your approval when I was younger
That really
meant so much.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
Like it gave me confidence.
Well, thank you. That means really, honestly, that means a lot to me. And I guess I benefit from having had that in my life too. So it's neat to have that, whether it's a kind of a more formal mentor or it's just somebody that you know is watching out and
I can bounce things off of. Yeah.
Definitely. But I remember there were times in the beginning that I did give you some feedback, and then you were like, "Oh, maybe I have to adjust this a little bit as far as the show went."
Show
it's like,
things. Yeah,
that's neat that because you were receptive, it made it so that we could be more of a team. Oh, hey, we gotta go.
Yeah. So that started the whole process because then I was doing shows with the Pennsylvania Guild, and then I did retail shows, wholesale shows. I met the executive director at the time was Al Weichman, and he was a potter also. And I said, why aren't you using this barn? Like, why isn't this barn being utilized for classes? And he said, well, because you can't really use it during this winter. It's not insulated, and all they had was a big wood stove in it, and there was no insulation, there was no water, and there was very little electric. And I said, I think I can do it. Can I do it? If I can I? Can I pay you guys something and use it?
Since the early 2000s is when I started coming here. And Jen was a teacher. She probably had maybe 3 or 4 classes a week. And then eventually, I guess the park had the contract out with the guild, and then they pulled out. They didn't want to be here anymore. So then Jen took over. Built from a very small practice, so to say, to a full-fledged almost art center, I would say.
Now, it's a weird building. So this is a small little bit, and it's right in the middle, and it's kind of hard to get to. That's where she saw that she had the best chance of setting up roots.
I had to decide, like, am I going to try to find my own space that I buy, or am I going to try to create something in this state park building? But I don't know. Could I have? I think that part of what makes it so special is the fact that it is this public space, and that you have all these people walking through and riding bikes and horses and enjoying the park that also then happen upon this art center. Brought in water, I brought in a sink, I brought in all the shelving, everything that's there now, and I created this space that was a functional space for classes.
That's how eventually she was able to take the vision of what was then like a stable for horses and turn it into individual studios.
There's numerous classes that are offered here. It's not just pottery, so there's different teachers that come. There's painting classes as well as glass classes, and there's a sewing center up front. So she's built herself up quite well, basically, to say. People look forward to coming to class because it's a time away from home and plus from their stressful lives, basically, to be able to just be who they are.
She knew she had much to do, but she was just happy that the first part of it had taken place. The first act opened, and the building was, with some renovations, was going to be allowed for the purposes for dedication to the arts.
And I had to lug wood every day to heat it, and I didn't care. It was fun, and I had a hardcore group of people that started out with me and didn't care if it was cold sort of in the winter and hot. It wasn't air conditioned. We just closed it all down and had fans, and everything was. Now we're living in this. It's evolved to this place where we have this state-of-the-art art center that's beautiful and air conditioned and heated and
handicapped access bathrooms and beautiful glass doors that you can close or open out to a sculpture garden. And you know, it's evolved into this very functional, very beautiful space that I always saw as this jewel that needed to be preserved, which will always be part of the state park. And I decided that it was like more important to me to be in that space than it was for me to own it all.
When we first took over the Art Center and we installed the large-scale sculpture exhibit, one of the things that I felt I wanted to see out here in this big vast field was a place where people could sort of find respite and shade and have a kind of a little bit of a private place to meditate, to just be quiet. And so I had these river birch trees planted in a circle that we're sitting in now. That circle ended up being a really beautiful backdrop for a lot of different sculpture. Ayami has work here still, one piece of hers, but she had a whole beautiful, beautiful display here that kind of went along with the circle, and there was a piece in the middle. She's taken all of it to another location except that white whale. But this is a sacred place, I think. I just feel like I have always felt that about this place, and that's one of the reasons about Tyler Park Center for the Arts is that one of the reasons that I took it over and have been doing all the hard work that I do is because I just feel like it's a really special place in the world. And that has just sort of, shown itself to be true. The more and more people come into it that are special in that connected way and in a spiritual way. And I guess to me, spirituality it's not about a religion. It's not about, I started out like when I was 13 having myself baptized. When I was 10, having myself baptized in a church and inviting my parents because I just wanted that kind of spiritual connection. And then as I got older, I got more interested in, more earth spirit religions or more traditions more than religions. And just always felt that I think if I try to say, boil down what the essence of the spirituality that I experience is and how it guides me in my life, I think I would have to say that it's knowing that I'm part of a bigger picture and that we're all just drops in the water that make the ocean, and we're all, like the Native Americans say, we're hollow bones. Hopefully, we try to make ourselves clean and clear and full of love and light so that we can kind of be hollow bones to be a conduit of that beauty. If all of us are doing that, or most of us, that's what we live in, and we created that beauty. And I think that's pretty much kind of boils down the heart of spirituality for me. The remembering of kind of who we really are, not our egos and these images of who we think we are and who we want to be, but boiling it down to sort of as like Rumi talks about, like you're not living your small self, living in your big self and your higher self.
I came here because I was, drawn here by somebody I was dating. But then I met people here that became like super important in my life, and also just the beauty here. I mean, Bucks County is amazing, and we wanted to be part of this community that started as an art colony and became sort of a gay mecca, and sort of the history of that and the Bucks County Impressionists just sort of set this energy, I think, in Bucks County. That, farming, gardening, people who are generally in this little bubble, liberal and working toward, good causes mattered a lot to us and to me. And that's kind of what kept me here and has made me really a Bucks County person. I mean, I've been here longer now than I was in California.
So many didn't have the money for a storefront or didn't have the money for a studio. And Jennifer was determined to bring those people into a community and be able to bring them together in a space that they could afford. Jennifer's never to me just a conversation, even if I'm just seeing her out. I saw her at the barber shop and she was having her grandkids having their hair cut. It's never just a conversation like, hi, how are you, and how's the weather? Jennifer is a person that reaches inside and speaks from her heart. So, and sometimes it gets her in trouble. Whatever's coming out of her, like, and she's speaking from like her heart, and it's such an unusual aspect to find in any human being, because that's really her superpower. Her superpower is really like what she gives and what she brings from within herself.
So absolutely, yes, she's definitely, I think that's her superpower, is the ability to use art as a mean to bring people together and build something that is much bigger than all of us. I don't know anybody who can do it as much as she can.
You know, I'm thankful for like sort of, you know, the sort of introspection that a project like this has brought to me personally. Yeah, I think it's been neat it's neat, sometimes it's neat when people ask you questions. It's sort of like therapy, you know. You know, somebody's asking you questions and making you think about yourself. So I think, you know, film, I didn't realize it, but film kind of is a form of therapy in a way.